부엌은 저희 영역이 아니고 와이프의 영역이기 때문에.
있나요? 이러면? 아니 저희가 에스코트조차도
진짜 남자랑 터치 아예 안 되지. 장난을 치는 이유가 혹시
He probably doesn't understand how serious this is and how deeply traumatizing what he's gone through is.
너무 조심성이 없는 것 같다. 너무 조심.
밥 먹을 때도 어디 여자가
People are
경상을 하는
becoming so mad about the program itself, the producers and the hosts and the MCs that are just sitting there just like laughing, like enjoying the situation.
Ladies and gentlemen, her.
Hello. Today we're going to talk about a show that I have known for a while called Hello Counselor. Before we start this, I want to put a trigger warning for most things, such as ED abuse, unexisting in Minecraft. So if you're sensitive to that, do not watch this. Today we're talking about Hello Counselor, a show that's like Dr. Phil and Family Feud, but hosted by Jerry Springer. But without the small bell, you know, the battle bell. And the questions being asked is who's most traumatized, without any knowledge of a licensed professional or somebody who knows anything about mental health.
That's a guaranteed 30 years in therapy when I bite down into a cold slice of fresh pizza.
Even back in the day when I first kind of got to know this show, it rubbed me the wrong way. But what is Hello Counselor? Hello Counselor was a South Korean social commentary talk show. It debuted on November 22nd, 2010 and was hosted by Shin Dong-yup, Lee Dong-in, Jung Jae-wo, and Kim Tae-kyun. We also had Choi Tae-joon joining the show later in August 2016. According to the show's official description through KBS, Hello Counselor is a talk show with an emphasis on regular people, regardless of age and gender, that aims to help take down the communication barriers by sharing stories about life. The program would air a new episode every Monday on KBS 2 and re-aired it with English subtitles on KBS World a week later. The final episode aired on September 30th, 2019. So with a running of 9 years and 431 episodes to boot, you think it would be a wholesome show who actually help people, but you'd be wrong. I mean, they do introduce people with a slide into a ball pit, so you know it's gonna be wholesome. Something that's not wholesome can't have a ball pit.
Around me are familiar faces.
Or maybe they got some real help professional who would sit and actually talk about these problems and figure out how they could move forward.
Well, you assumed wrong. Very wrong.
The last episode is called My Husband Wants to Kick Me Out, or the story that won that episode. Did it get resolved after? We don't know. She might still be homeless, or she might, be dead. Don't know. We don't know any of this. The drama was there, and we got to watch a train wreck of a life for about an hour because everybody else feel better with themselves. It's like putting a band-aid on a cannon wound at this point with the show. Like, it was so wild what they got to show on TV and how they just got to act like real problems weren't that bad.
Depression? Isn't that just a fancy word for feeling bummed out?
Dwight, you ignorant slut.
But oh well, she got the majority vote of 155. Congrats to her. Now I know you're looking at me like I'm insane, like votes, what do you mean? They have an audience, and then the audience, after hearing the 3 stories, can choose if they think that it's a serious issue or if it's just something that can, kind of blaze through. And the one with the most vote would win, which is very interesting. It can be child abuse, it can be hoarding, it can be anything. Usually you also have a lot of fluff where it's like, can you tell us you won't drink again and hit your child? And they will of course say, yeah.
And if you let that motherfucker shenan once, best believe they gonna shenan again.
Like, the dirty laundry isn't really supposed to be aired on TV, in my opinion. See, in Korea, trauma isn't enough. It's a competitive country. You gotta compete from the day you're born to the day you die, and that even includes trauma. Who's the most traumatized? And the one who is the most traumatized gets to win. That's just how their system is built. Or at least that's what it's showing in this program. That even if you have trauma that might have changed your life forever, it's not as bad as those over there. Therefore, you shouldn't feel as bad. You shouldn't get professional help because it's not as as bad as the person who is collecting pee in jars, which was a real story. From stories of unexisting to mental abuse to even domestic abuse, you too can sit with your favorite bias of your favorite K-pop band and talk about your problems that they have no deal in being a part of. Like, they don't know how to help you. They're not licensed professionals. Like, even on Dr. Phil, he is at least some kind of psychologist, right?
Up the phone and blew the whistle on this whole deal. What do you think about what he had to say?
If he was here right now, I would gladly give him the biggest hug ever.
Well, he told us the same thing. He said if he ever got to meet the two of you, he would give you a big hug too.
The care and sensitivity to which these approach these subjects are almost astounding. It's almost a little bit wild to me to look at. It's like, how do you take so little care? You're just like blazing through.
But I hope now you spend it on getting some lessons in grace and decorum, because you have all the grace of a reversing dump truck without any tyres on.
They will also usually make jokes.
많이 울었어요, 큰아이가. 임신했을
왜요?
때.
왜? 좋아서 아니면은?
싫어서.
아니 또 자기가 봐야 되는 상황을 본인은 알고 있으니까.
딸이 정말 죽고 싶어.
을 말씀하시는 건 새 가족이 아니라.
새 가족 말고 세 분의 가족이.
Funny, goofy edits. All the hosts are comedians, which again is a wild thing to think about, that a comedian is hosting a show about real problems. I don't see how you're pretty though to somebody dealing with the ED is helping them in any way, because that's not really the problem. The problem is not that they don't think usually that they're pretty, but they have a mental disorder that they actually a lot of times either need talk therapy or medicine to help. We also had the woman who would not let her husband or children use the toilet in their home, the mother who filled a house with 300 jugs of medicine wine, the thin 18-year-old girl who was constantly called a fat pig by a family, the woman whose brother was obsessed. He went on honeymoon with her and her husband. And this is where the age-old talk show argument comes up. Is it their fault for airing their dirty laundry, or is it the fault for the people giving them an opportunity to do so? And here I don't know, because I don't think $1,000 is gonna help change a whole family dynamic. The real problem in South Korea is though, if you seek mental health in any kind, medicine, therapy, it will be put on your record. So that means when you look for a job, it will say that you have seen a therapist or that you take medicine for depression or anything like that. And a lot of times then you will be denied the job. And it's not really helping the stigma to then just air it on public TV in front of like BTS or SHINee or anything like that. I don't think that's really helping any of them. As a person from the other side of the globe, it's just a very interesting show, and it's not something I've seen talked a lot about, which I find really weird. Like when they have so many episodes and it ran for 9 years. Like everybody know Dr. Phil, Jerry Springer, Murray.
Of 3-year-old Jeremiah William, you are not.
And that's comedy, because that's not, it's like he cheated on me or something, which stories they also do have on this show, but they also have, you know, very real stories where they might want to have professionals actually give their opinion and actually help them out or do something other than just say, oh yeah, no, it's not so bad, because look over there, ones that came in this week also had, you know, a drinking problem. And could you maybe go down from like 5 bottles of soju to like 2 every day, which still is a lot because it's hard liquor. And it's a very interesting show. I definitely recommend watching it. I mean, it's not airing anymore. All the episodes are on YouTube, so I would definitely watch it if I was you. We also had stories. A Nigerian guy who talked about racism, very real.
지하철에 타도 버스에 타도 사람들은 절 보면 슬금슬금 달아나요. 그리고 한국 사람들은 왜 저를 더러워할까요? 방을 구하러 갔는데요.
아프리카 그들은 그냥 더러워서 방을 안 줘요.
아유 참.
전혀 더럽지 않아요. 그러지 말고 저 좀 잘 좀 봐주세요.
And he felt a lot of prejudice being in the country, even though he spoke the language fluently and was an IT engineer. He felt like a lot of times that people would not be around him or not be near him because of his skin color. And they thought that, you know, when he said that he wasn't from Nigeria, that just tigers lived in his home, or like bears. The comedians on the show like, oh, I thought that too. Like, I was wrong. It's like, what? He was talking about the very real racism that he experienced himself in the country as a foreigner, and how it actually hurt him. Even though he really liked the country, he wanted it to change, and it didn't win. They were like, oh, but we can't relate, therefore it's probably not gonna win, because they thought the same thing. I'm not gonna tell people how they feel, but it just seems very weird. Only real story that week wasn't the one that won. Real story about how racism is a huge problem in their country, and they're not really wanting to deal with that. So yeah, I don't know.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I mind my business. I've never been in an argument in my life. I have found that you have to care to argue. I do not care.
See ya! What?